Everyone, thank you so much for being here today for the April 8th regular County Council meeting. I would like to call this meeting to order at 9:30. We'll start with the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge Athabasca County is located on First Nations Treaty 6 and Treaty 8 traditional territory. We respect and honor all First Nations, Métis, and Inuit peoples' connection to these lands, their history, language, and culture. First item up is the approval of the agenda. Are there any additions or deletions? No, okay, we'll go on as per 9.8 of the procedural bylaw. We'll go around the table for councillors to identify which items on the agenda they wish to discuss. I'll list the ones that we know we have to discuss, and then we'll go further. So what I have written is 2.1, 3.1, 5.1, 6.3, 7.1, 7.3, 7.4, 8.1, 8.2, 9.1A, 9.2, 13.1, and 13.2. Councillor Mins?
Thank you. I would like to discuss 6.1, 6.4. I think that's it for me now.
6.4, okay. Is there anybody else who would like to? Councillor Anderson?
I'd like to add 8.5, please.
8.5, okay. Councillor Hall?
I believe there are
And 8.3 as well, you mentioned? Yep. Okay.
Sorry, and did you add all of number 7?
I had 7.1, 7.3, 7.4. And I'll run through those again unless anyone else has anything further. All right, let's run through those one more time. 2.1, 3.1, 5.1, 6.1, 6.3, 6.4, 7.1, 7.3, 7.4, 8.1, 8.2, 8.3, 8.5, 9.1A, 9.2, and our closed session items 13.1 and 13.2. Okay, just a moment. You're okay? All right. And Councillor Cromwell would like to make the motion to approve the agenda as discussed. All those in favor? Thank you, and no opposed. That'd be 9-0. Thank you. And at this time, we could have a motion to recess our council meeting to hold a public hearing. Councillor Mins would like to make that motion. All those in favor? That's no opposed, so 9-0. Thank you. We are now recessed. Move on to this one. All right, so I would like to declare the public hearing open. I'm Tracy Holland, the Reeve for Athabasca County, and I will be the chair of the hearing. On behalf of council, I would like to welcome you here today. The secretary of the public hearing is Bob Beck, who is the CAO for Athabasca County. Any persons who have joined the meeting in person or via Zoom and are wishing to be heard should please give your full name now. And your last name, Bruno? Bruno Wiskel, welcome. Thank you for being here. The public hearing for bylaw 004/2025 is now open.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The purpose of this public hearing is for Athabasca Council of the County to hear testimony from interested parties. It is not meant to be a debate between presenters, and all comments must be directed to council through the chairperson. Only one person may speak at a time, and each person wishing to provide input to council will have the opportunity to do so. The ground rules of the hearing and the order of speaking will be: Land Management Specialist Diane Cloutier will speak first to outline the background and provide an explanation of the bylaw. Members of the public who are wishing to be heard will be given the opportunity to speak. Ms. Cloutier will be given the opportunity to present closing remarks or address any of the issues presented. Councillors will be given the opportunity to ask questions. Council will then end the public hearing and will later consider the information received at the public hearing. Council will only consider matters raised at the hearing. Only councillors may ask questions of speakers during the hearing. If any persons want to ask questions of a speaker, they must ask the chair to ask the question on their behalf during their presentation, and the chair will only ask the question if the chair wishes to have an answer in order to undertake its consideration.
Thank you. Before hearing from the public, I would ask Ms. Cloutier to provide background and explanation of the proposed bylaw.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of council. The purpose of bylaw 004/2025 is to close a portion of undeveloped road allowance that is no longer required for the use by traveling public. The undeveloped road allowance is located south of Southwest 36520 west of the 4th and north of Northwest 346420 west of the 4th, which is approximately 8 kilometers west of the village of Boyle. Adjacent landowners within 100 meters of the road allowance were mailed notification letters for this public hearing on March 11th. An advertisement was placed in the Town and Country This Week newspaper for March 18th and March 25th, 2025. In addition, notice was placed on the county's website, which provided information regarding this public hearing for bylaw 004/2025. The proposed road closure will not affect access to neighboring properties as access is achieved from Highway 663 and Range Road 203 to the west, and Highway 63 to the east. The intention is to consolidate the small portion of undeveloped road allowance with the property to the north, southwest 36520 west of the 4th.
Thank you. Does council have any questions or points of clarification they wish to ask Ms. Cloutier? It's chance. All righty. Are there any written materials that have been submitted? No written materials, thank you. I will now call upon the persons wishing to speak. Would you like to speak, Mr. Wiskel?
Sorry, me?
Yes,
Oh, yeah, sure.
if you'd like to come forward, and the microphone is there for you.
So the the company, Mr. V's Field and Forest, owns a portion of Northwest 3465. Can't remember where it is. Anyway, it's up there. Anyway, what happens is a portion of it is taken off the main block of land. It's about 3 acres. And it's on the other side of 663. So I turned 65 in 1 month time. So the reason I wanted to consolidate the land is that if I sell Mr. V's separately, which is almost going to be the situation there, they're not going to be the same people that are buying the land south of the road. So I want to take the 3 acres and put it with the 160 acres there. I own both pieces of land. One is under Mr. V's Field and Forest, but I'm the sole shareholder of Mr. V's Field and Forest. So this would be just, if this is approved, then what'll happen is I would buy it off of me. And we would have 25 acres of Mr. V's would be separate. If you could choose not to do this, then you have an orphan property that has no access from either highway, nor is there any possible access from either highway because they're both on curves. So if you put an access on it, it would make it just really dangerous. So I mean, this just seems like should be common sense, but I've been trying to get this for the last 6 years, I think, and no idea what's going on, but I would like to have it completed this year, because if I retire and if I choose to sell, it would be better in best interest of everyone to have that small 3 acres combined with the 160 acres that is adjacent to it.
Okay, thank you. Does council have any questions or points of clarification? No? Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who has not spoken and wishes to speak? Awesome. Thank you so much. At this time, does council have any additional questions of any speaker or of the staff? Does anyone feel they have not been fairly heard? There being no further testimony, I will close the public hearing. I further advise council cannot receive any further information on this matter. Thank you for attending the public hearing. I declare the public hearing closed at 9:40 a.m. Now, do we need a motion to go back into the meeting? To reconvene the meeting, we need a motion to do that? No, we don't. We can just reconvene. Okay, perfect. I was curious, but we'll go for it. All right. So after that, we are looking now into the delegation presentation, which is 5.1. They are here at 11 a.m. So we will move to business arising from the minutes. And that is the first item up, 6.1, page 140 of your agenda. And I believe that was Deputy Reeve Mins who asked to speak. That one.
I just threw that on there just to, I'll move the motion, recommending the motion that council approve Athabasca County 2025 to 2027 communication strategic plan is presented, and I want to just give kudos to administration for a great communication strategic plan. Thank you very much, Jordan. You did an amazing job in that assembly. That's awesome. And I just wanted to give the shout out to our buddy there, Jordan. So thank you very much.
Fantastic. Thank you. I think we all echo those sentiments and really appreciate it. Looking forward to the strategy being put into place. So thank you so very much. So I believe the motion was that council approve Athabasca County's 2025-2027 communication strategic plan as presented. Councillor Mins would like to put that motion forward. If we're ready for the question, all those in favor? Okay, and no opposed. So that's 9-0. Thank you. The next item we have is the 6.3, which is the Regional Community Collaboration Attraction and Engagement Group, page 160 of your agenda. The recommendation here is to appoint one member of council to the member regional Regional Community Collaboration Attraction and Engagement Group. Councillor Cromwell.
Thank you. I'd like to nominate Reeve Holland.
Thank you. I would accept the nomination. Are there any further nominations? Councillor Hall.
I'd like to nominate Councillor Wallach. She's been fairly involved in the act development and
Okay, thank you. Are there any further nominations?
I would like to nominate Councillor Cromwell.
Okay.
Same thing, I wish everyone could be like.
Thank you very much. So we have three nominations at this time. Are there any further?
I appreciate the nomination, but I will not take it. But thank you very much.
Okay, so we have two nominations. How would everyone like to do should we like to speak on it first and then go to a vote? Okay, well, I'm really excited about this committee as well. And so I'll just mention that I think this is an awesome opportunity for us to be involved in. And I also feel part of the job of a Reeve is to be the main spokesperson for the municipality, including being the liaison with senior elected officials, other levels of government and stakeholders. And this particular committee is about collaboration with key stakeholders to identify those opportunities that foster both economic and social development for the region. And I really think that this is an amazing opportunity, and it creates a vast array of public service providers' input to identify targeted collaborative opportunities that foster both economic and social development for our region. Building strong relationships between the private sector and government, of course, is key. So, and for as far as I can tell, the Community Collaboration Committee is currently being formed. It encompasses a Reeve's responsibility. So I'll be more than happy to attend, participate in, and provide prompt reporting after each meeting. And of course, information sharing will always happen promptly as well. And I will include council, of course, on any decisions that council should be a part of. So that's my little plug for really wanting to be on that committee.
Over the past 3 years, I've been part of the Economic Development Committee and has spent hours and days building relationships with not only local officials and local stakeholders, but the ministers and all over the Northeast with Alberta Hub and developing relationships there. So I feel like I have a lot of good connections in the area, and I think I would be a great representation for that.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Are we allowed to ask for ballots? For ballot? Or to take it or not? Right?
I'll defer to CAO for that.
So section 185.1 of the MGA says, despite sections 185 and 197, at a meeting at which council establishes a committee or other body under section 145 or appoints a chief elected official under section 150, a secret ballot must be held if requested by any councillor present at the meeting. A vote by secret ballot under subsection 1 must be confirmed by resolution of council.
Okay, thank you. So that is the request for secret ballot. So if we may go forward, I guess, or unless others would like to speak. We'll go forward with the secret ballot.
It's just requested by a member of council.
Thank you. We'll just take a few minutes for the secret ballots to come into the room. Alrighty. So we've reconvened our meeting and we're in the process of the ballots. I believe once everyone is ready, if you wouldn't mind signaling, and then we will have ballots collected. Now, should we recess the meeting once more for the ballots to be counted? Is that the best way to take this? No, we're good with it? Okay. We will wait.
That's it. Right here. Madam Chair, the vote is 5 Holland and 4 Wallach.
Thank you very much. Thank you. So in order to finalize that, we will need a motion. Someone would like that, Councillor Conwell would like to make the motion to appoint Reeve Holland to the member regional community collaboration, attraction and engagement group. Do we mention secret ballot in the motion?
Madam Chair, I'll pull it up again. It's a resolution to confirm the results of the secret ballot. I'll
Okay. So we'll do that
just
first.
try to read that again. A vote by secret ballot under subsection 1 must be confirmed by a resolution of council.
Okay. So Councillor,
Motion to confirm the results of the secret ballot appointing Reeve Holland to that committee.
okay, thank you very much. Everybody has that motion. If we're ready for the question, all those in favor? 2, 3. Okay, and no opposed? 9 and 0. Thank you. Alrighty, we move on to item 6.4, water rates discussion. I believe Councillor Mins had asked for that to come up.
Yes, I asked that to be put on for discussion. First thing I want to do is I would like to move a motion from the discussion in the committee of the whole meeting on March 25th, 2025. That a minimum 5 cubes be set for minimum use. Scenario 3 at $6 per cubic meter at Hamlet and truck fills. Also to transfer the 2024 surplus to the water reserve. And sewer charges at Collington, Grassland, Wandering River set at 35% of the actual water billing. And Rochester Hamlet sewer charges stay the same at residential $20 per month. Commercial $37.08 per month.
Okay, thank you. Is there discussion? Councillor Anderson and then Councillor Wallach, please.
Can you repeat those, please?
Pardon me?
Can you repeat those a little bit slower this time?
You would like the motion read again? Yes, please. Okay.
I'd like to move a motion from the discussion in the committee of the whole meeting on March 25th, 2025, that a minimum 5 cubes be set for minimum use. Scenario 3 at $6 per cubic meter at Hamlet and truck fills. Also to transfer 2024 surplus to water reserve. And sewer charges at Collington, Grassland and Wandering River Hamlets set at 35% of the actual water billing. And Rochester Hamlet sewer charges stay the same at residential $20 per month, commercial $37.08 per month.
Thank you very much. I think does everyone have that now? Counselor Waller.
I guess where is this money coming out of the budget for this?
If I may, from our discussion that we had in the committee of the whole, it would come from the general taxation.
So are we have to cut other things or we're running out of loss? Like what are we cutting, I guess, to make up for this?
As it would be for, in my opinion, as it would be for every other service that we provide, it comes from general taxation. I don't believe there would be any need to cut anything. We have general taxation for that purpose.
I guess my follow-up is I'd like to see the full budget before we decide on adding an extra couple $100,000 to our loss.
Okay, thank you. Is there any further discussion? No? Okay, are we ready to take it to the question then? All right. I'm not going to try and attempt to read that motion. Oh, pardon me, Counselor Anderson.
I believe our water rates are set by a bylaw. So is this motion to amend the bylaw and bring it back? Or is this motion in opposition to the bylaw, I guess, because council can't just make a motion to amend a bylaw. Bylaws need 3 readings to be able to pass. And since that bylaw wasn't presented to us at today's meeting, I'm a little concerned about the way the motion is worded to make sure that we're reaching the target, actually obtaining the result you're expecting.
Would you like to make a friendly amendment to add the words amend bylaw? I don't have the bylaw number in front of me, but to amend the current bylaw?
Yeah, I'm in the current utility bylaw.
Madam Chair, the motion would need to read direct administration to bring back a revised bylaw. So you can't amend the bylaw today. We'd have to bring back an amended bylaw.
For sure. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's what we've been pretty well asking for, to have a discussion on the bylaw, but yeah, let's recommend to bring back a amended bylaw. Revised bylaw.
Okay. Did you want to?
Yeah, I was just going to echo Councillor Anderson. I was a little confused. I'm like, we can't just set a water rate. We need to work on a bylaw. So thank you for pointing that out really clearly.
Okay. Is there any further discussion? So that friendly amendment has been added to the to the motion to revise our current utilities bylaw. I'm not going to try and read it all again. I think everybody has it. So if we're ready for the question, all those in favor? 2, 3, 4, 5, and opposed? 1, 2, 3, 4. 5 and 4, that motion carries. Thank you very much. All righty. So we're going to move forward on to bylaws, and the item for discussion is 7.1, which is on page 177 of your agenda package. The recommendation here is to give second reading of bylaw 003/2025 road closure within lot 1, block 1, plan 1123174, and lot 2, block 1, plan 1123174. As well as to give third and final reading of bylaw 003/2025 road closure within lot 1, block 1, plan 1123174, and lot 2, block 1, plan 1123714. Councillor Chamzik, it was a draw. Councillor Chamzik would like to proceed to give second reading of bylaw 003/2025. Is there any discussion? We're ready for the question. All those in favor? And no opposed. Okay, second reading, pardon me, has passed. Because we don't need unanimous consent. Perfect. So to give the third reading, Councillor Cromwell, would like to give third and final reading of bylaw 003 2025. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? And no opposed? Awesome. 9-0. Thank you. Next item is 7.3 bylaw 007 2025 road closure southeast 3465 west of 4, page 191 of your agenda package. The recommendation here is to give first reading of bylaw 007 2025 located between northeast 216517 west of 4 and lot 1 plan 9724438, as well as to direct administration to schedule and advertise the public hearing on May 13, 2025 at 9:30 a.m. for bylaw 007 2025. Councillor Anderson would like to move that and to give first reading of bylaw 007 2025, as well as to direct administration to schedule and advertise the public hearing. All those in favor? And no opposed, so that's 9-0, thank you. Item 7.4, bylaw 008 2025 cancellation of planned subdivision, page 199 of your package. The recommendation here is to give first reading of bylaw 008 2025 cancellation of planned subdivision certificate of title number 092224347, as well as to give second reading and third reading. Would Ms. Cloutier like to speak on this one?
I can, Madam Chair, members of council. So this was a request by the landowner back in 1993. They had subdivided a small acreage off of the quarter section, and with the development and the regulations around private sewage and all that, they wish to now consolidate both back into the whole quarter section. So it's done by way of bylaw. So the request today, if council so chooses, is to give all three readings so we could proceed with the paperwork at land titles.
Thank you very much. Does council have any questions, discussion? Councillor Anderson.
Thank you. The administration report indicates that in August of 2009, the landowner requested a lot consolidation. Did this just fall through the cracks, or why is it just coming back to us now? Is what I'm wondering. Like, do these usually take this long?
Madam Chair, members of council, there was a request in 2009. However, it was not finalized, and the landowner reached out to us most recently in wanting to put it back on the table and see if we can finish it. So it's not that it was in limbo waiting in land titles or anything. It just did not proceed. So we're moving forward now.
Thank you very much. Anybody else? All right. First reading for Councillor Mins. We'll come to Councillor Cromwell for second. All right, so Councillor Mins would like to give first reading of bylaw 008 2025 cancellation of plan of subdivision certificate of title number 092224347. If there's any discussion, all those in favor? And no opposed, so that's 9-0. Second reading from Councillor Cromwell. He would like to give second reading of bylaw 008 2025. Is there any discussion? All those in favor? No opposed, so 9-0. Is there unanimous consent for third reading? Councillor Gerlach would like to put that motion forward for unanimous consent for third reading. All those in favor? Awesome. It doesn't appear any opposed, so that is passed, 9-0. So the last one. You would like to give it? Third. Councillor Anderson, you're fine? Okay. Councillor Anderson would like to give third reading of bylaw 008 2025 cancellation of plan of subdivision certificate of title number 092224347. All those in favor? And no opposed, 9-0. That carries. Thank you very much. Well, folks, we're going to have everything complete before our delegation. As we're moving quickly, we have item in new business 8.1 EV Charging Network Steering Committee, page 206 of your package. then the recommendation here is that council determine if they wish to participate in a Northeast Alberta Regional EV Charging Network Steering Committee as outlined in the attached letter from Mayor Rob Blay. Do we have Councillor Cromwell?
Thank you. Looking at the network, this is an item that would either be put into grassland and or wandering river. As such, I would like to have council's blessing to attend that first meeting and actually get some more details before we determine whether we want to be a part of this or not. So my motion would be right now to allow me to contact and attend that first meeting, bring a report back to council, and then determine should we wish to participate in that or not afterward.
Thank you very much. And I just have a quick question to CAO. Do we know if that meeting has taken place? I noticed the letter's February 21st, and they mentioned in the last paragraph, please advise the Director of Transportation Initiatives if you want to attend our initial meeting. So I'm not sure if that's taken.
I don't know if that next meeting has occurred, but this is not a one meeting committee. It's
Correct.
kind of ongoing.
Okay. So should we go forward with that initial? Okay. Is there any discussion? Councillor Hall.
I'd propose it would be less time wasted in churning if instead we were to defeat the motion that's proposed and replace it with one to nominate the member to the committee. And then if it turns out that it's no good, he can come back but make the default that we're going to move ahead so that we don't have to come back and spend our time on stuff like this.
Okay.
This seems pretty straightforward. So unless we want to withdraw the motion and move one to nominate Councillor Cromwell to attend sort of in perpetuity or until he advises otherwise, I'll vote against the one that's on the floor.
Well, I haven't read the motion yet, so it's really not on the table. Is that accurate? Okay.
So
All right.
unless there's objection, Councillor Cromwell, I would move that we nominate Councillor Cromwell to the committee as the representative.
Okay.
And then as discussion, if you find that it's not satisfactory, then we can withdraw.
And you accept the nomination, Councillor Cromwell? Thank you. Is there any further discussion? Alrighty, so Ms. Blair, do you have the motion to appoint Councillor Cromwell to the committee? Okay. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? And opposed? 1, 8 and 1. Thank you. Alrighty. 8.2 is next up, sponsorship requests for the 4th annual Aspen View Robotics Tournament. The recommendation here is that council approves a contribution of merchandise up to $100 for a door prize and or $1,000 to sponsor Aspen View Public Schools' 4th annual robotics event and further to source the funds from the grants to organization budget. Councillor. Okay, thank you. Did you want to include the $1,000? Okay, so that would be and we'll remove the or. You're welcome. Is there any Councillor Wallach, sorry?
I guess just to administration, is there any pushback to the groups on actually filling out the form for these like the grants to go to the groups? Because some people do it, some don't. So I'm just wondering how this works.
Through the chair to Councillor Wallach, there is a lack of a sponsorship policy. So when applicants come, first we have to look at if they're nonprofit. And as per the grants to organizations, it's solely for nonprofits. So I can't really enforce for them to fill out the form. So I've just gathered the information. And so we are working currently on a sponsorship policy.
Thank you very much. Is there any further questions? Councillor Hall.
It seems to me there's a fairly limited reach and a fairly limited opportunity for students from Athabasca County to participate in this. So I would propose an amendment to reduce the amount to $500.
Okay, there's amendment here to reduce from $1,000 to $500 in sponsorship. Is there any discussion?
Due to why? What was the reasoning why? Pardon me?
I did speak to that. It's got a very limited reach, and that's the amendment I'd like to propose.
Who? Limited reach for students to be able to participate? How do we know this?
Chair, are you asking me to respond to the question? There's a very limited reach for Aspen View students from Athabasca County to participate in the event. I believe the background and the information that's provided talks about the students that come from across the division. And in trying to manage the budget, this is a fairly exclusive event, and in my view, $1,000 is too much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor Anderson.
Thank you. When I was reviewing the agenda, I noted that we sponsored the hockey provincials that just happened, $1,000. And when I think of the amount of people that partook in hockey provincials, the amount of people that brought to our community and the business that brought to our community, and just the incredibly large scale event that was. I was wondering where the $1,000 recommendation to sponsor this event came from. Like, just when I compare the size of the two events, and then the dollars that we are being recommended to sponsor, I was kind of wondering how administration came up with $1,000 for this event when we just sponsored $1,000 for something that was significantly bigger.
Madam Chair and members of council, there is really no science as to why we recommended $1,000. They were asking up to $5,000, and we feel that $5,000 was a reasonable request. So we suggested 1,000, and obviously it's council's decision as to the value they want to add to the sponsorship. So we just left it open to council to decide.
Thank you very much, Councillor. Okay, Councillor Chamzek.
I don't know, the way I look at it, you know, it says it's totaling over 200 participants in there. I mean, it's great to see, you know, with the way technology is going, with all the use of coding and everything else, I think it's a excellent program to run.
Thank you very much. And I'll weigh in as well. I agree. This is an extremely important tournament, and one that the students really look forward to. With regards to the difference in size of events, we also have to consider the difference in sponsorship reach for some of these larger events. That really makes a big difference as well. So I would be opposed to the amendment. I believe that, as it mentions here, numerous community spectators, 200 participants, 50 staff, 20 judges. And this fosters the STEM, STEMs, STEM, STEM skills, innovation and teamwork, which is, for me, in where we're going in our technology world, this is just extremely important for the students to be able to partake and enjoy this tournament. So I would be opposed to the amendment. But is anybody else would like to have that conversation? All right, on the amendment, go ahead.
Sorry, just a question for administration. Do we know how much the Thorhill County, Smoky Lake County, and the towns of Smoky Lake, Thorhill, Smoky Lake, Athabasca, and the Village of Oil have contributed to the event, given that that's kind of the reach of the event?
Through the chair to Councillor Hall, no, we do not at this time.
Okay, Councillor Kapitaniak.
Thank you for I really feel that sponsoring events such as this create the opportunities for different children and teenagers to excel in different areas. And we all know not everyone is great at the arts, not everyone is great at science, not everyone is great at sports. And I know of you know, young adults that were teenagers once that participated in this event when it was just beginning, and it was a pride. They had an opportunity to be showcased, to be to have competition in their skill set, and that was not hockey per se or sports, it was science. And the sponsorships, they go to things like the t-shirts, water bottles, things that give these participants the pride of being in attendance. You know, they're excited and they're excited to win something, but they're excited to be part of their community. And those sponsorships that create or give out those kind of items, we call it swag. And maybe we think it's silly, but it's something that a teenager or a young person will like, if they're really, you know, feel special because they're the only one or that got that shirt or the only one that, you know, got that in their team or whatever. But I guess the point is just, I don't think it's about size. It is about, consistently supporting all, activities throughout our community, especially with youth. And I also, just want to say on a personal note, I don't like to make decisions always based on what other counties are doing. I think that we have our own backbone and we can make our own decisions and set a precedence maybe for some of them. Because if everybody just sat around the table and said, well, I'll do what the other guy's doing, nothing would get done.
Thank you. Would anyone else like to speak on that amendment before we? Okay, so on the amendment to reduce the sponsorship of $1,000 to $500 to reduce the amount from 1,000 to 500, all those in favor? One and opposed. That would be 7, I believe, 7 and 1. So the amendment fails. And we will go forward with the original. Councillor Capitania would like to have council approve that council approves a contribution of merchandise up to $100 for a door prize and $1,000 to sponsor Aspen View Public Schools' 4th annual robotics event and further to source the funds from the grants to organization budget. If we're ready for the question, all those in favor? And opposed? 1. So we have 8 and 1. And that carries. Thank you. 8.3, page 227 of your agenda is under new business proposed special county council meeting. The recommendation here is that council schedules a special council meeting immediately after the conclusion of the April 15, 2025 Committee of the Whole meeting for the purpose of discussing adjustments to the 2025 budget and mill rate options. And I believe Councillor Hall, that's your request.
I would like to move the recommended, well, similar to the recommended motion with April 16th as the date. This for me, April 15th is a bit short notice and it's budget discussions are important. And I think it's important that all of council should be available. So I actually debated whether we should just table this to the calendar section where we can kind of look at the calendar generally. But the worry that I have is that by trying to cram a budget discussion in after Committee of the Whole, it will be rushed and won't give us the time we should take to really engage in that. And because of the short notice, there are other commitments that some of us at least have that relate to our work as councillors in the late day on the 15th that would mean having to leave fairly early. So I'm proposing we move the motion with the date of the 16th.
Okay, the date of the 16th. All right. I know personally as well, April 16th is out for me. I already have meetings scheduled that day as well. April 15th seems to be a great day for right after the Committee of the Whole, because we can make sure we're looking at that. Councillor Anderson.
I think April 15th is the appropriate day as well. However, I agree that trying to cram it in after Committee of the Whole would not be appropriate. And therefore, I would propose that we cancel the Committee of the Whole and just host a special council meeting that day so that our focus for the day is those budget and mill rate discussions. I don't think it's fair to the councillors around the table to try and get through an entire Committee of the Whole meeting as fast as we can so that we have time left to have a meaningful discussion there. I think that our focus should be the budget.
I guess I think I had a little discussion there regarding being the chairperson of the Committee of the Whole. regarding the actual meeting, and it sounded like there was a delegation that was already put on the supposedly put on the agenda. So I guess through to administration, would that work or not?
Madam Chair, yeah, there is a delegation to come and speak about your bridge program.
Yeah, that's
If
very-
council was wanted to have special counsel instead of committee of the whole, we would add that delegation to the special council meeting. Basically, we could turn the committee of the whole into basically special council meeting, the entire meeting, and just try to keep the other agenda items light, but we do have a delegation that we'd like to commit to because they want to present a 10-year bridge plan to council for reaction. And if you wanted to reserve most of your time for budget, we would work around that with whatever council likes.
I would totally agree with that.
Thank you. So it sounds to me like we would remain with committee of the whole, or we would just turn it totally into special meeting. Okay,
Madam Chair, we would prefer to have special council meeting in case you need to have a vote and provide us really clear direction instead of the non-voting structure of committee of the whole. We're getting down to brass tacks on the budget here, and we probably need some real hand-raising direction.
okay, fantastic. All right. So I guess the motion, who would like to own the motion, and then we'll wordsmith it. Did we read the motion? I don't remember reading it. I remember reading the recommendation, but not the actual motion. Did I read the motion back? I don't, did I? Okay, so we will have to then defeat the motion and move on to.
With unanimous consent, we can withdraw.
Okay. Unanimous consent to withdraw that motion. Okay, that is done. So the new motion, does anybody like to have that? Counselor Mins would like to schedule a special council meeting on April 15, 2025 for the purpose of discussing adjustments to the 2025 budget and mill rate options. Is that satisfactory?
And cancel the committee of the whole.
Oh, pardon me, thank you. And cancel committee of the whole. Thank you.
Yeah, Madam Chair, and as long as it's clear to everyone, we will have other items on the agenda other than just budget and mill rate, but you don't need that in the motion.
Okay. Is everybody all on board with that motion? All right, if there's no further discussion, all those in favor? And opposed? It's 9-0. Thank you. And we still have some time before our delegates. So we'll pass 8.5. Hang on, I gotta find my other piece of paper. There we go. We will move on to 9.1A, the community event calendars, page 235 of your package. And I have an addition that I'll throw out there here right away, if I may. On May 23rd, 24th, and 25th, the Buffalo Lake Métis Settlement Gateway to the North Pro Rodeo will be taking place. I believe it begins at 5 o'clock on the 23rd and continues at 2 o'clock on the 24th. Is there anybody else who has Councillor Chamzik?
April 26th and 27th, Grassland Agricultural Society is having their grassland rummage sale from 11 to 3.
Okay, both days? Awesome. All righty. Does anybody else have any additions to the events calendar? Okay. Is there a motion, Councillor Chamzik, to accept, receive the community calendars as amended? All those in favor? And no opposed, so 9-0, thank you. 9.2 are our meeting calendars, Councillor Mins.
A couple here that I found out, regional water line Island Lake Waterline meeting on Teams on the 23rd, April 23rd at 9 AM. And on the 25th, have a Athabasca Watershed Council Spring Board meeting at the train station in Athabasca at 10 AM.
I'm sorry, what time?
10 AM.
10 AM? 10 AM,
And
Watershed,
that's it.
okay. Counselor Chamzig?
I believe we have an FCSS meeting on the 12th, Mr. Gerlach of May. Wonderful.
Okay. Counselor Cromwell?
County Library Board, May 12th at 6:30 PM.
Library. Righty. I will also like to add the April 11 will be the rescheduled ALT tour. So the Athabasca Landing Trail Tour for the southern portion will be taking place on April 11. I'm wondering, I'm looking at April 22nd. And I see that we have a multiplex meeting, an MPC meeting, both happening at the same time. Of course, Krista's not here, or Director Wilkinson, pardon me, is not here at the time, but would there be an appetite to move the MPC meeting just to be, say, 9:15 on the 24th before the council meeting? Yeah. Without talking with April 22nd was where the MPC meeting is scheduled, but thinking to move to the council meeting at 9:15, just before the council meeting. What do you think? I'm assuming. She says it's fine? Okay, perfect. So if that's an agreement with everybody. Seems to be. All right, so we'll move that one, the MPC meeting to the 24th. The 1 o'clock is actually community transportation, just in case anybody was wondering what that was on the 22nd. The 26th, of course, we have the Ukrainian and folk dance 50th anniversary on the 26th. Oh, and we have the Athabasca United Church 100th year of service celebration that'll be attending on the May the 4th. I think that is all that I have. May the 4th is the Athabasca United Church 100th year of service celebration that I have been invited to attend at Amber Valley Hall. Councilor Cromwell?
I'm going to tentatively recommend that we do the same for the MPC meeting on May the 27th. Move that to 9:15 on May the 29th.
We should, unless Ms. Wilkinson has objection, but we can always fix it if it's not going to be suitable, correct?
Or we could just discuss it on May 13th, possibly moving it.
Maybe that would be a better.
And then they
choice.
will have a better idea of.
What files are coming in? Yep. Was that satisfactory, Mr. Cromwell? Alrighty, do we have any other additions? Go ahead.
I don't know if I should ask this or not. Don't know how much of a dust up this is gonna cause, but on April 26th, we have an ask from the Ukrainian folk dance there to the Reeve to come and give greetings and acknowledgement from Athabasca County, and just wondering if the Reeve would not be okay to use, maybe if the tickets aren't done yet, maybe to use two of the tickets that got sponsored to Athabasca County for the donation. So I'm just wondering if it's being that the Reeve has to give a speech, say greetings from Athabasca County. I think we should sponsor, being we got some free tickets, so I think we should sponsor the Reeve to go.
And I understood that there wasn't any tickets required for me to go, but I will turn that over to Councilor Waller.
Oh,
I still need tickets.
yeah, so Being we got
30.
4.
It would be nice to use the tickets just for the seating plan, just.
Are those tickets still available? Yes, okay. So does that work?
Yep.
Okay. Sounds good. Everybody's all, go ahead.
Just a thought for the future. I don't know if we need like a policy or anything fancy, but if we are going to sponsor events that come with tickets, perhaps we should assume that any elected official that is going to be speaking at or giving greetings should automatically have 2 tickets. It just seems reasonable to assume. And then if that person is not asked, then release them in the way that we're talking about, just to make it a little bit more clear.
Thank you. Counselor Anderson.
Thanks. When we went through our council remuneration policy, we gave each counselor and the Reeve a budget to attend events like this and to attend different things. And so I'd like to say in the future, I think if we're planning on having the Reeve attend something on our behalf, maybe from that budget, we should be purchasing tickets for the Reeve. So we're not scrambling to hopefully have tickets from a sponsorship available. But that those tickets are purchased in advance out of that budget line to ensure that not only are they being accounted for correctly, but that they are available. Going this way, it's great if the tickets are available, but had they been given away already, it would not be the best situation. And also, this is utilizing money that was budgeted for grants to organizations to essentially get an elected official tickets to an event. And so just looking at the image of doing that, I think we gave ourselves budgets, and maybe in the future we should start purchasing tickets for those events and supporting them that way as well, to make sure that the Reeve has tickets, or the deputy Reeve, or whoever needs to use them.
Thank you. Okay. So it sounds like it's going to be delicious. Alrighty, so with that, does anybody, Councillor Hall?
On April 15th, on behalf of the Greater North Foundation, there's a meeting scheduled with Minister Nixon at the late day. Yep. I don't know for sure, but it's late in the day, so.
I don't have my microphone on. Before I do that, real quick, I had a email come from Staff Sergeant Mark Hall with regards to the RTOC that a couple of our counselors attended. And I'll let you weigh in and I imagine from my understanding, it was an amazing experience and one that is being offered once again to counselors that weren't able to make it that day. If anyone would like to attend, to please let me know as soon as possible, and we'll come up with some dates that we can forward to Staff Sergeant Hall. From my understanding, this is an extremely important tour, I guess is the best way I can put it. It was more of a tour, or yeah?
Go ahead.
Yeah, I thought it was amazing, world-class facility to be able to go into and see how their operations work at that level was quite enlightening, and I would definitely go again, hands down, in a heartbeat.
That's awesome. Go ahead.
Going through the art talk and the OCC was the information and the tour itself, understanding how things go. And how action is provided to all over Alberta, not just in one part of Alberta. This is across Alberta. It is an amazing tour. And you even get a challenge coin out of it. And I forgot mine. I was going to actually show Councillor Cromwell my new challenge coin.
I have mine on my dash still, if you'd like.
And again, the RTOC is a real-time operations center at the K Division in Edmonton. And as you mentioned, apparently it is just something really spectacular to see and for everyone to understand how it works. And I guess more than anything, where our budgeted funds go to, it sounds like some pretty amazing work is being done. So yeah, anybody else who's interested in going, please let me know as soon as you can. So with that, the motion from Councillor Cromwell to receive the calendars as amended, all those in favor? And none opposed, 9-0. Thank you so much. We have 25 minutes before our hang on, 25 minutes before our first delegate, our only delegate this morning. Do we have time to go into a closed session for 13 points?
Madam Chair, for sure. We have time.
We have time. Perfect. Councillor Capitani would like to take a 10-minute recess,
We enter closed first.
and we can enter into closed first. Councillor Gerlach. Councillor Gerlach, everybody's hands are flying. Councillor Gerlach would like to make the motion to go into closed, please. I think the time is what, 10:35? All those in favor? And no opposed. And with that, we will also recess for 10 minutes and be We're good to go. We are back. Thank you so very much. We are reconvening our meeting and we are back to our delegation at 5.1 of our agenda, pardon me, the utility collaboration, Tantus Solutions. We'll start with introductions on my right.
Rob Mins, Division 8, Baptist Lake Island area.
Joe Gerlach, Rochester Paradise area, Division 1.
Good morning, Gary Cromwell, Division 6, far north up to and including Wandered River area.
Kelly Chamzik, Division 7, Grassland, Atmore, Prospita areas.
Good morning, Ashton Anderson. I reside in Division 3, which is the Boyle Caslin area.
And good morning, I'm Tracy Holland, Athabasca County Division 5, which is east of Athabasca as well as the Reeve for the county. And thank you for being here today. We also have Mr. Jordan Schenkelberg, who's our communications manager, Miss Leah Blair, who's our recording secretary, Mr. CAO Beck. And we have behind you, we have our illustrious Cole Brennan with our press. And I'm not sure. Member of the public. Thank you very much. Pardon me? Oh, and Counselor Hall, thank you. Would you like to introduce yourself? If he's there. Counselor Hall.
You've already done it. It's Brian Hall, Division 4.
There we go. Thank you very much. Please go ahead.
There we go.
Thank you.
Much better audio. Perfect. Perfect. So wanted to walk you through the utility collaboration advice business case project that we have completed with the county here. I know we've been in touch a couple times around some of the objective setting and things like that. We've had a chance to finalize that report and officially submit it to the county. So want to walk you through a number of items here. Quick sort of project background and overview, just how this came to be. Walk you through the core sort of evaluation components of the business case and those recommendations that came out of it. And then leave some time for questions. We'll try to leave plenty of time for that. So just as a refresher on this project, this business case came about. It was initiated in response to an approved motion from the Aspen Regional Water Service Commission that county administration explore transfer of utility operations over to the commission. As the county administration was working through that process, they hit a point where they realized it may make sense to pause and go through a little bit more of a structured evaluation process. And that's where we kicked off this business case process, which is structured to evaluate alternatives. Fundamentally, that is what the tool is for. And it helps to put a structured approach around, sometimes uncertain challenges and ways of going. There was a number of areas that sort of came to the surface as that sort of initial exploration was ongoing, and as administration was beginning to explore what a transfer to the commission could potentially look like. One of those was a lack of validation of financial value to the county itself, but probably more importantly to ratepayers. It was unclear how the transfer would ultimately impact and support the reduction of utility rates. Certainly, there were some estimations of some operational efficiencies that could be achieved. Our process in this business case wasn't to validate whether or not those efficiencies were valid or feasible, but they weren't substantive enough to really move the needle, I guess, on utility rates, for lack of a better term. There wasn't a lot that was demonstrating an impact to regional capacity. So one of the themes that came out of this study repeatedly throughout is that one of the challenges is that there is an excess capacity within the treated water system within the region. Really, the way to address that is to bring new users on to the service, and the transfer itself didn't necessarily achieve that. Infrastructure risk, again, a theme that came up throughout this study, particularly related to the sharing of commission and the town of Athabasca infrastructure for distribution. So the transfer of the county's utilities didn't necessarily address that piece. And regional partner commitment. I'm sure there's been lots of action since we were heavily engaged in this process. We'll go through the timelines in a moment. But at the time, it was unclear if other regional partners, other commission members were going to participate in similar motions to explore similar transfers. And the county being the only member to go through with this, again, didn't necessarily show or demonstrate significant value. So, you know, none of those were necessarily showstoppers, but again, created that need for a pause and a change in how we went about evaluating this opportunity. And so we sort of reframed the problem. We moved it out of the specific motion from the commission, and we sort of reframed it around this question of how can the county best engage with regional or external partners to achieve financial or risk management benefits for its ratepayers with its utility operations. And that opened up a range of potential options that we could explore as well beyond the commission proposal. So just a quick review of timelines. We did kick off this process in September of 2024, got right into it, looked through all sorts of background materials. Really critical to this process was a jurisdictional scan. So we're able to carry that work through and look at a number of different jurisdictions that had gone through some sort of transition, some sort of regional collaborative type of exercise with their utility operations, and learned a lot from there. We came to council at the end of October of 2024, I believe, to establish some objectives for this business case process. And then really at the end of 2024 is kind of where we put our heads down and did all the work and put the business case together, went through the various pieces of analysis, which we'll summarize for you, including the financial analysis, which obviously is always an important part of any business case, but certainly for something like this with you know, utility rates being and affordability being so top of mind, certainly something we wanted to put time into. We had drafted the business case by the end of 2024, and we've been working through a period of review, finalization, and now council presentation through the first portion of 2025. So when we met at the end of October in 2024, this was the summary of what we took away from that conversation with council. We asked you to identify your vision for the future, some of your priorities, and certainly there was lots of healthy debate. We didn't necessarily come to an absolute consensus on that, and that's okay. But we did take a number of really important pieces away from that. We're able to capture that as objectives for the business case. So first and foremost, we heard that asset maintenance has to be prioritized to ensure reliability and safety of utility operations. That's a good one to have. We fully agreed with that one. Managing utility rates to ensure affordability for residents and business. Again, heard that as a very strong theme throughout this piece. Expanding water services across the county. That speaks to that regional capacity component that we mentioned in the previous slide. And maintaining fair and equal pricing. There was a lot of good, healthy discussion around this. And there was an idea that, you know, we wanted to sort of level the playing field around utility pricing and rates as much as possible and feasible. Perfect. These will come back as a scoring item as we get into the analysis. I mentioned the jurisdictional scan was an important focus of this review. We talked to a number of different areas that have, you know, really explored some quite different models, and we were quite happy with the learnings that came out of this process. So, you know, I won't go into them extensively. They're certainly in the report, but we did talk to the MD of Taber. They do their own operations internally. Interestingly, they hold a contract with a local industrial plant that's within their boundaries, and they do their wastewater operations on behalf of that plant in a cost recovery basis. So an interesting piece where they've expanded out beyond their sort of traditional utility system. Red Deer County is contracted with EPCOR, and they have outsourced about as much as they possibly can. And they've been doing it for a lot of years, and they've been able to go back out to market and rework their contracting. And it seems like they found a pretty healthy balance ultimately with that process. The County of St. Paul is engaged with two different commissions. Varying structures. One is quite interesting. It's a water line coming east from Edmonton. They're kind of at the end of it. They have a very interesting structure. They do actually own the infrastructure for their portion of that line, but they don't necessarily have a full scope of governance control over that. Again, interesting piece. Town of Tabor is running their utilities through internal operations. They had contracted out, and after seeing a proposal for a very substantial rate increase, they ended up canceling their outsourced contract and bringing it back internally. The Capital Region Southwest Water Service Commission, just south of the city of Edmonton, with a number of members. Interesting model, not incredibly unique, but from our perspective, very well run, very strong reputation, very robust planning and governance processes. From an operations perspective, they do go and they allow any of their members to bid on a contract to actually operate the commission infrastructure on behalf of the commission. So it's turned back to members. There's a competitive bidding process for that operations piece for the commission itself. So one of the things that was so valuable about that jurisdictional scan is it helped us to shape what alternatives were sort of on the table for the county in this process. And we looked at quite a few. This is quite a lot for a business case, and it speaks to the potential that exists in this space and the different options that are at the county's disposal. So status quo is always valuable to evaluate in a business case process. You'll note we have adjusted on here. We've made some assumptions around how the financial model of your utility operations could look like in the future. And that's why the adjusted piece is on there. Alternative 2 was to look at a alternative that simply focused on regional collaboration. So not necessarily doing anything in a formal governance type of manner, but really just pushing to work together, sharing costs where it made sense, collaborative projects, those types of things. This isn't completely foreign in the region. We know there's collaborative projects that are ongoing between, the county, the commission, other members, those types of things. Commission revamp. This would be more in alignment with that Southwest Regional Commission structure, where we'd be looking to advocate to the commission to restructure itself and move to the type of structure where it would contract out operations back to its members. So that is an opportunity as well. County expansion, the county could move beyond its borders and look to take in, the utility operations of a, not necessarily neighbor, but certainly some other jurisdiction, either nearby or even less so. We've seen what other, similar utility corporations have done by moving outside their borders. It doesn't have to be a regional thing, so there's certainly opportunity there. Alternative 5 is working with the commission to basically have them take on an operations contract through an outsourced model. So the county would maintain ownership of their utility infrastructure in this one, but work for an outsource that operations contract. Alternative 6 is a full transfer to the commission. This is effectively the proposal that was originally in front of the county through that motion from the commission. Alternative 7 would be looking to the market, broader market for that operations contract, going out basically to public tender and allowing anyone to bid on it. There's multiple players in the space that could potentially be interested in a situation like that. We had originally explored an alternative 8 to look at full divestment of your utility out to an external party as well. When we went through an initial analysis of this, we hadn't seen anything similar out in our jurisdictional scan. And it didn't align well with those objectives that we had laid out at the front. So we worked with the administration team to shortlist this a little bit and get it down to sort of 7 alternatives that we wanted to explore a little bit further. So the business case process, this slide is going to be a little bit squinty. You're going to have to look closely. So there's a lot to fit in here. So the business case process scores these alternatives against a number of different factors. So those objectives that we outlined earlier in the presentation, there's an alignment score that's assessed. We look at stakeholder impacts, both internal and external stakeholders. So you can see stakeholder scoring there as well. We do a fairly comprehensive risk analysis, and that includes mitigation strategies and rescoring of risks based on those mitigation strategies to help evaluate some of the risk profiles there. And then we have multiple categories of the financial profiles. So I'll walk you through these a little bit more in step here. Alignment with objectives, we did not see extremely high alignment from any of the alternatives. Again, that speaks to this theme that these alternatives sometimes struggle to significantly show how it would reduce utility rates and increase affordability. And predominantly it's because these alternatives are not doing enough to deal with that regional capacity question to bring in new users onto the service. So fairly moderate levels of alignment across the alternatives, not a lot of spread in terms of the scores that we saw. Somewhat similar with stakeholder impacts. We saw a fairly big distinction between internal and external stakeholder preferences from these alternatives. But, overall scoring, again, we didn't see, this incredible spread. The piece that stood out is that sort of outsourced model. There's enough sort of risk and uncertainty with stakeholders that had a fairly low preference overall. From a risk perspective, we did see some separation. We did see that full commission transfer as being the riskiest alternative. A lot of the risk elements that are explored are dealing with elements of control, the ability to influence risk. So naturally, that full transfer over does lead to a higher risk profile. The financial analysis was quite interesting for this, a little bit different than how these are sometimes conducted. We took the status quo and we did do a full 10-year cost projection. This was based on your 2024 budget figures, which were the most up-to-date that we had at the time. And we projected out what this might look like. Now, we made some assumptions. One of those was that there was an ongoing utility rate project in flight as we were working on this, and we did make some assumptions that there may be some utility rate reductions. Hence, alternative one, what you see is a negative financial profile coming out of that one. Excuse me, sorry. This financial result is shown as a net present value calculation. So that takes some of these costs and revenues that are, up to 10 years out, and it brings them back to today's dollars just to allow us to compare alternatives a little bit better. So that's kind of our baseline. So what we see is we do see a negative financial profile even on that status quo. As we work through alternative 2 with collaboration, we do have some assumptions around some ability to cost share and drive some financial value associated with that. So we do see an improvement on the financial profile there. The commission revamp, the financial profile here is assuming that the county would be awarded the operations contract. Of course, that is not guaranteed, but we had to show it one form or another. So this is what this could potentially look like. Again, there's a service contract that would be coming back to the county. Of course, there's staffing implications. You'd have to staff up and things like that. So, but the offsetting financial profile is improved from what the status quo could look like, again, with that caveat. County expansion provides opportunity for some financial value, again, with a lot of uncertainty around, the size, scope, and sort of revenue generation potential of whatever jurisdiction would ultimately be the target for this expansion activity. And then we move in. So the commission operator contract is a little bit worse than the status quo. We are assuming that the commission would have a small margin built into that. So it's a little bit worse than what the status quo financial profile is. Alternative 6 is very interesting. It is the best financial profile in the analysis, largely because the county is simply getting out of the business. We do have a small staff retention there to support grant writing activities and other things, but ultimately it's handing over what in this financial model is showing to be a negative financial value over to another entity. Critically, this has an assumption that there is no transfer of existing county utility reserves. If that assumption is incorrect and those reserves are transferred at their full and current value as of the 2024 budget, this would become the most negative financial profile of the alternatives. So fairly substantial assumption in there, and it does involve some risk in this alternative as well. And the external operator contract going out to market, the assumption here is that there's quite a substantial margin that the market would want on this. So it ends up being in this analysis with these assumptions quite by far the worst financial alternative. Naturally, that leads to a risk that there'd be utility rate pressures in such an environment. It is something we saw to a certain extent with the jurisdictional scan as well. Now, normally when we do this, it's quite obvious which alternative is sort of the best approach. And I think what we're seeing here is that's hard to pinpoint. And it's not necessarily an obvious answer. And I think it speaks to the complexity of this environment and some of the competing priorities and challenges that were involved with this process. I think it also speaks to the fact that we have some of these larger regional level types of goals that none of these alternatives really fully address. So where we landed in terms of recommendations coming out of this analysis, we are suggesting at this point that the county does not accept the commission's transfer proposal and instead looks to explore the feasibility of alternatives 2, 3, and 4. So this is the collaboration alternative. This is the looking to the commission to potentially restructure itself and explore what an operations contract back to its members could look like. And it is potentially looking at expansion opportunities for the county's operations, utility operations itself. The business case scope didn't necessarily allow us to go into incredible detail around these, but so we are recommending sort of further exploration on this. Again, we didn't see that scoring point to one obvious alternative here, but somewhere in these alternatives, we do think there's a positive path for the county's utility operations and potential to influence utility rates for its ratepayers. All of these alternatives come with some uncertainty. The county is not in full control of these, so it does require a lot of advocacy, proposal development, trying to get other partners on board. This isn't something that can be done unilaterally, of course. It takes partners. And there's a fair amount of risk associated with particularly alternatives 3 and 4. One way to, get an expansion jurisdiction is to, cut your costs and give them a great financial deal. Well, you're not going to see the financial results that modeling indicated, if the negotiations go that way. So again, plenty of uncertainty, lots of due diligence, lots of advocacy, those types of things that we are recommending for the county. We have a series of other recommendations as well. So we are looking for the county to advocate for new isolated commission infrastructure. We certainly know these are ongoing conversations, but we are calling for a bit more of a structured process to explore what that could look like. We have a recommendation to explore alternate rate model changes for affordability. Again, we are aware that there was a utility rate review process that was ongoing as we were doing this work. This recommendation calls for some other exploration of what this could look like, changing things like, base fee amounts. There's ways to drive affordability by adjusting your adjusting your utility rates, not just lowering rates, but changing sort of how they're structured. It's worth exploring what that could do from an affordability perspective and working for kind of different ratepayer categories. Recommendation 4 calls on the county to develop a long-term capital plan and utility rate model for its utility operations. Typically what we see, these are full life cycle costed, very technical sort of exercises, particularly on the long-term capital planning. It will involve going and getting sort of full condition assessments of all your infrastructure, doing that life cycle planning. And what we're calling for is to have these studies be full cost recovery, full life cycle plan, and then use that as your jumping off point to go, try to achieve grant funding and things like that. But it's always a good starting point to make sure that you've got a fully costed sort of baseline, and then you can make decisions from there. Recommendation 5 calls to explore operational backfill capacity. This is to deal with some of the risks around licensed operators within the county's utility. Our understanding is this work has been ongoing, and that's something that administration has been dealing with. So I think we're well on our way with that one. And then 6 and 7 really are about maintaining that strong sort of regional partnership and collaboration sentiment despite recommendation 1. So, we do want to make sure the county is an active participant in any service expansion project that's occurring within the region, at least providing support. However that may look, whatever may make sense. Obviously, these things would need to be evaluated individually, but making sure the county is maintaining its regional sort of partnership status on that. And recommendation 7 calls for a little bit more of a targeted collaborative work with the commission itself, just to conduct some enhanced, very collaborative business and utility system planning exercises. So again, understanding the importance of that partnership and making sure that the county is still a very positive and contributing member to that membership piece. Perfect. Tried to go through fairly quickly. That is what we had for you as far as the presentation. I'm happy to take questions on any portion of the presentation or report.
Thank you very much. It's a great deal of information, of course, to digest. Does anybody have any questions that they'd like to put forth at this time? Go ahead, Councillor Anderson.
Thank you. Did any of your analysis include the project that's currently ongoing for the expansion of the water line? County-owned infrastructure towards the east of our the town of Athabasca?
You will not see that reflected in the financial analysis or sort of any of the current overview. Obviously, we were aware that work is ongoing, and it's certainly factored into our recommendations of still maintaining those, those sort of regional projects and those types of pieces. The other place it came into is that it was on our mind when we were talking about, the long-term capital planning and things like that, making sure that these things are fully costed, fully understood, and then going and finding grant funding for it to maybe support some of these projects was an example that we had in the back of our mind, but it wasn't the basis for the analysis, no.
Okay, thank you. Is there anybody else with questions? If not, please go ahead.
I see a hand, sorry, on the screen.
Please, tiny little hand up there. Sorry about that. Go ahead, Councillor Hall.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. In your research, did you encounter any municipalities that subsidized water rates for out-of-county users or for industry?
That was not a specific question of our jurisdictional scan. We were more interested in the governance structures, ownership structures, and those types of pieces. So we asked very high level information on rates, but we didn't get into details on full cost recovery versus subsidization or those types of things. So unclear. Anecdotally, I think we did certainly talk to jurisdictions where I don't know that they had gone through a full utility rate and long-term capital planning exercise like we're recommending. So I would suspect some of them would have struggled to answer that question had we been that specific. But yeah, unfortunately, I don't have a ton of insight on that one.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions, Counselor Hall? In case I don't want to miss you.
Nope, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. Everybody's good to carry on? Go ahead, Counselor Mins.
In your executive summary here, page 36 of our our agenda. Number 3 has infrastructure risk. A key risk to the entire regional water system is a lack of isolated, dedicated regional infrastructure through the town of Athabasca to regional partners. What that's saying is the flow through from the water treatment plant to the Cornwall Reservoir and then flow through to the vault, right?
Correct.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you very much for that.
Pretty quiet bunch. Anybody else with any other questions? No? It's a lot of, go ahead.
It's a very good report. It's well documented. There's lots of information. You know, the pros of this is we can take this and introduce it into our mind thoughts as we go forward with our utility water rate utilities discussion on our bylaw, and it'll be it's a great start for that, and I want to thank you very much for that. So great.
Appreciate it. Yeah, this is, I think the strength of this exercise is it created a fantastic baseline of understanding for the county and what might make sense. Obviously, our natural tendency is to try to drive to a firm recommendation. It was a very challenging exercise in this. I think the strength of this process is it does leave a very wide window open for the county to explore its options, and that could, lead to any number of these alternatives really making sense at some point in the future, depending on things change and that type of thing. So there's enough room to play here that I think there's lots of directions the county can go.
Absolutely. I think that yeah, unless Counselor Cromwell looks like, nope, it doesn't. It was going there. But yes, no, thank you very much. I agree. This study is huge and extremely important. And I'm so glad that we went through this process and for the whole hard work that you've done to get us here today. And I know for me, I have a little bit more reading to do to completely understand it all. And I will be reviewing the live stream. I'm glad it's recorded because it gives us that time to look at that. And I think with that, thanks again. Does anybody else? Again, last chance? All right. We so appreciate you being here for us today. I just want to make sure no little hands up there. Okay. We appreciate you being here today and giving us this information and lots to think about. And I'm quite sure we'll go forward here in a few minutes and have a little bit more of a conversation. So thanks again.
Thanks so much for having me. Really appreciate it.
Fantastic. Safe travels.
Thank you.
We'll take a 5-minute recess, please, folks. Coming back at 11:42, if I can do math properly. I think 8.5 of our agenda, the very last item, the utility collaboration Tanta Solutions presentation, page 232 of your agenda. I believe Councillor Anderson asked for this one to be on the agenda.
Yes, I did. I know that the presentation had a lot of information to try and digest. And I just didn't want this to now stall out. So I kind of put this on the agenda to discuss what comes next. Do we want to just table it until another council meeting so we all have time to digest it and then come back and maybe ask some more questions of administration and keep this going, moving in a certain direction after we can have a little bit more time? Does administration have a recommendation on what to do next already? If they've had more time to look at this, I don't know, but I just didn't want it to stall out here. I thought this has been a lot of information already, and we definitely need to move forward in some direction. I just wasn't sure what direction that would be previous to the delegation.
Thank you very much. If, would you like to weigh in, CAO Beck?
Madam Chair, I've got very strong opinions on that. And it has to do with our closeness to an election and strategic priority setting of a new council. So what we'd really like to do after the election is sit down with the new council, fresh council, and good luck to you all. And say, okay, here's all the projects on our list. What priority do you want us to do them in? Because I think what has occurred in the past is maybe we've had too many number one projects. When you have too many that are number one, nothing gets done. So I think with the new council, we'd like to sit down and we would rank this one. Where is it in the list? You have the next council will have a 4-year term. Is it number 1? Is it number 8? Or is it number 15? And because a lot can change and there's a lot of other issues. And our issue is just organizational capacity. That's all. And so for us to continue with more work on this, we'd probably have to drop something we're currently working on. So I would say our recommendation is accept it, pick it up again with the new council and discuss it in the strategic priority setting with the new council.
Awesome. Thank you. I think that's great advice. Councillor Mins.
Yes, I think that's great to hear. You know, just to hold back a little bit. We're actually implementing some of this as we go right now with the utility water rate bylaw and stuff like that. So we're actually looking at some of the recommendations on there. I feel we're looking at that already. So we are kind of moving this forward, but no, thank you very much for bringing that forward to not stall it out, actually put it on the shelf like a transportation study or something like that. I don't know if that happens, but yeah, and that's what I kind of wanted to comment on, is just that if we start looking at our utility rate bylaw and start implementing that, it's to use it for that is very good information. So thank you.
Thank you very much. Does anybody else have anything? We have a motion for somebody to pick Councillor Mins, beat you to it, Cromwell, to receive the presentation for information. Councillor Mins would like to receive the presentation for information. If there's no further discussion, all those in favor? 1, 2, 3,
Aye.
4. Councillor Hall? Or is that an aye or is a yes? So that's 5. 1, 2. Can I
Sorry, it
see
should
the
have been
hands?
a, I was
Oh,
premature.
okay. We're gonna hands again for 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. And opposed? 1, 2, 3, and a nay.
Nay.
1, 2, 3. 4 and 3. Motion passes. I think we are done, if I'm not mistaken, for our agenda. So I would like to call this meeting adjourned at 11:46, please. Thank you, everybody, for being here. Thanks, Cole.